time. We'll move on to the first section of the meeting, and that is the special discussion of our vacancy for our school board race. And so we had a former school board member, well, school board member, council member De La Torre, who won his council race and is now going on to be on the council. We saw him in the last couple meetings. And that means that there is and will be a vacancy on the school board that will be filled within the next couple of weeks. And so in the past, we have not always made endorsements as a club when there are appointment vacancies, but that has happened for various reasons. Sometimes it was just timing. Sometimes it was just because we weren't as familiar with the candidates as we needed to be in a certain amount of time. But in this case, our diversity and inclusion committee of this club came forward and sent us a letter asking us to please make a recommendation for a particular candidate. And the board did eventually make that recommendation. So the board is recommending Keith Coleman as the candidate tonight. But we're going to hear from all the candidates who are here, who are interested. And before we get started with that, I just want to know how many folks we have. I know I saw Keith on here. I saw Jake. If you're running for this position, how about you just say really quickly your name and just so that we have you on the list.
If they have applied, if they've turned in an application.
Yeah. I'm sorry, you're right. This has to be somebody whose name is on the application, which was finalized today. There's about 15 or 20 names on there. So if you're one of those people and you're here, just speak up so we know to add you to the discussion.
Hi, Jake.
Hey, Jake.
Hi. Nice to see you all.
Hey, Nicole. Good to see you.
You too.
Keith Coleman.
Great. Keith. And is there anybody else here? Okay, great. So why don't we just go in that order, the people who just spoke up. So why don't we start with Jake? So we'll have up to 3 minutes. And if you want to just introduce yourself and talk about why you're running for this position.
Sure. Well, I'd like to first say thank you to the Santa Monica Democratic Club for letting me talk to you tonight. I've been a resident of Santa Monica for over 15 years, and I've been an SMMUSD parent for 12 years. My daughter, who started in kindergarten, is now applying for college. So she actually, in following in her footsteps, she was actually a student member of the board last year. So she served representing Santa Monica High School on the board. And in 2010 is when my activity started really in SMMUSD. So I've been very, very active for 10 years. And I'll go through a couple of things for those of you who don't know me. Some of you actually do know me, and it's nice to see familiar faces. And I definitely want people who are new to meet me as well, because I've really devoted a lot of time to this district. I have 2 children in the schools. I understand from a parent perspective, both across Grant Elementary School, Franklin Elementary School, John Adams Middle School, Lincoln Middle School, and Santa Monica High School, and also have a child who's attended Santa Monica College. And that's my senior. And I've been devoted to Santa Monica and Malibu for a very long time, in that I've been a media advisory board member of SMC since 1998. So I have an understanding not only at the K through 12 level, but also in higher ed as well. I myself am a department chair of digital arts and production, and I regularly lecture at USC and UCLA as well. But I oversee an academic department, and myself am a faculty member. Early on in my career, I was a teacher and a coach, so I understand the classroom very, very much so, and I understand extracurricular activities very well as well. Besides the commitment of just being a parent and somebody who cares about the district, I also served in numerous positions. So I was PTA president at Grant Elementary School. I was a legislative chair at 2 different schools in the district, and I was legislative chair for PTA council during some really, really difficult years for us to try and get some things passed. And so not only from a council level, but also from several different schools as well, I've had leadership positions. And on top of that, about 6 years ago, I created actually a little longer, 7 years ago, I created a nonprofit called Threads, which actually has clothed children throughout all the schools in the district. So I have actually contributed to every single school in the district in terms of starting this nonprofit, where we would collect recycled clothing from the lost and founds, and also donations, wash them, and then took anonymous information from the community liaisons and principals, and then actually delivered clean, gently used clothing to children throughout the district.
It's time.
Okay, so my commitment is strong, and I hope you support me. Thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
Thank you so much, Jake. And let's go on. And I do know that Jason Feldman is here, so we'll add him on to the end. But let's now go to our next candidate, Nicole Jane.
Hi, everybody. Hope you're all staying safe. I've been a resident in Santa Monica for 3 years now. I can't wait to settle down in this area, and I'm so excited to contribute to this community. Hopefully next year, I'm hoping to teach at Santa Monica College as an adjunct professor. Currently, I work at a mental health startup, and I'm writing a children's book focused on mental health. So if you're interested, let me know. But basically, for the past 13 years, I've worked somewhere in education reform, from working as a teacher in India, as well as running one of the largest tutoring programs in Los Angeles, to also working at Chicago Public Schools, as well as Los Angeles School District on their policy team. So I definitely have a lot of experience when it comes to structuring the district, making sure that there's no waste, making sure that we're working closely with teachers and stakeholders, and of course, community members, to make our schools better. I have a bachelor's in public policy from USC and a master's in education policy at Harvard. Something that's really important to me are my own values, and I really believe that they align very well with Santa Monica College. These include collaboration, being really open-minded, based on actual evidence and science, and lastly, really being innovative in the way that we think about what education should look like, especially in such a great progressive district like Santa Monica. I've really learned that while teachers and educators are so important to maintaining really high quality level of education, the most important thing is also the management team and the effectiveness of people who are running and driving policy and making it better. I'm super passionate about what I do, and I'm so excited to have kids in the district in the future, and I really want to represent it and be, a strong voice for the district and for people around. So thank you so much, and hopefully you'll vote for me.
Thank you so much, Nicole. And now let's go to Keith Coleman.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I just want to say from the outset again that this journey has really been a call to serve on the Board of Education. And at the outset of this was really to be a part of a team to democratize opportunity for all students. It's clear that the data on the achievement gap and all the racialized news incidents that occurred at Samo High and Malibu High are evidence that, daily microaggressions and challenges face many students every day, and that these students are not psychologically safe on these campuses. And they don't see anyone on the school board that looks like them, that perhaps they may feel that like they matter. My experience as an education innovator through my work with the Tesla Foundation and Aero Robotics, focusing on girls and students of color and entrepreneurship and critical thinking, speaks for itself. My work as a visiting scholar at Stanford's Graduate School of Education and MediaX, where we focus in on transformative learning and improving the human condition and human experiences, that speaks for itself as it relates to, being able to provide, those kinds of innovative practices to the district and district staff and district students. Diversity is really about giving voice and symbolizing really truth to power and supporting, broad backgrounds and experiences. And let's be clear, what people see is very important, and it keeps people focused on, what they're doing. And symbols are critical. Symbols as well as substance, clearly. Substance for ethical disposition, substance for empathy, substance for independent, critical thinking. And these are things that I believe that I can bring to the board for the best interest of staff and certainly the best interest of students. The district's Excellence Through Equity platform, as wonderful as it is yet to be rolled out. We want to try and do better to sort of make sure that gets into the hands of teachers and students so that they can use that. I'll continue to support a lot of the district's practices related to Go Green and Project Green Challenge, helping these kids to look at environmental solutions and giving them self-efficacy in that way. My other experience related to special ed is real. I watched as a 9-year-old, watched my mom, give all of her energy and life force as a mother to try and help my middle sister, who was multi-handicap blind, to be the best that she could be. So conversations about special ed, which is never what my mother called that. My mother talked about it in a way where her daughter, my sister, was uniquely abled. And so I think perhaps we can look at modifying the language that we use with respect to that. Similarly, the same with achievement gap. We want to move away from deficit narratives and rebrand to things more positive. So I hope to get your support.
Great. Thanks so much, Keith. And now, Jason, I heard you were here. Are you here? I heard that Jason Feldman was in the room. Okay. I guess the rumor was mistaken. So one last call. Has anybody heard it from Jason Feldman before we move on? Just making sure I don't see him on the list there. No, I don't see him. Okay, so he must have stepped out.